Let me ask you this. What is the greatest underdog story in football history? You'd probably think of Leicester 2016, Wales 2016, or maybe even Porto 2004. But there's one you probably forgot about. Greece's miracle performance in the Euros 2004. They weren't even ranked in the top 30, but somehow they managed to go all the way to the final, where it all came down to this.
That's the player who took it.
Okay, hold on. To understand just how significant this game was, there's a little bit of backstory you have to know. It all started in August of 2001 when Otto Rehhagel took over as manager of the Greek national team. The German manager was already well known for winning several titles in Germany, but he had never coached the national team before and didn't even speak Greek. So experts wrote him off when he moved to Greece, and at first it seemed like they were right. Rehhagel lost his first game 5-1 against Finland in the 2002 World Cup qualifiers. After that, it was clear something had to change. The Guardian put it well here. If someone said we wouldn't do very well at the Euros, Mr. Rehhagel always turned to me and said, they don't know what we know. So it's safe to say that he had a plan to turn things around. He embraced a disciplined defensive structure with man-to-man coverage, but the most important change was the mindset. He expected his players to fight for the nation and not for their clubs like it was typical in Greece back then. These changes paid off massively, and Greece were on track to qualify for the European Championship in 2004. After winning against Northern Ireland, Greece finished their qualifying group on top, 1 point ahead of Spain. This alone was a remarkable achievement, as this was only the second ever time that Greece qualified for the Euros. Rehhagel's team didn't have any stars and on paper weren't special at all, but they were ready to fight for their country, and it was finally time to prove themselves on a big stage. Although Greece were in pretty good form, they were still massive underdogs for the Euros. They were given a 0.6% chance of winning, and even the team itself didn't even dare to dream of surviving the group stages. So expectations were low when they played their opening match against host Portugal, but they were ready to fight. And like always, Greece were rock solid defensively and won 2-1 against the hosts. And if this wasn't enough of a miracle, they also drew against Spain. Sadly, they lost their last group stage match against Russia, but it was just enough to move them on to the knockout stages on goals scored. Unfortunately for them, they were facing reigning champions France right away. Before we move on, I put a lot of effort into my videos, so don't forget to like the video if you've enjoyed it so far. And if you like football stories like this one, consider subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate all your support. Now, back to the video. That team had every right to be called France's golden generation. Players like Zidane, Henry, Vieira and many others, but none of them cracked the key to Greece's defense.
Για να δούμε αυτή την προσπάθεια από δεξιά. Προσπαθεί να περάσει και περνάει πολύ ωραίο Ζαγοράκης. Πάει να μπει στην περιοχή, για να δούμε. 3-4 περιμένουν. Η σέντρα. Γκολ! 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 Γκολ!
In the end, Greece won and miraculously moved on to the semi-finals. Beating France was by far the biggest upset in football at the time, but Greece were far from done yet. Even though they were still laughed at by most, they knew what they had going for them. With the confidence of knocking out France, they put up another outstanding performance in the semi-finals against the Czech Republic. This secured them a spot in the final, where they once again faced the hosts Portugal. The whole stadium was sure of Portugal's first ever trophy, but Greece had a different idea.
Who took it? Semi-final, they've got a goal here.
They did it. Greece completed one of the greatest underdog legacies of all time. The news spread like wildfire and Rehhagel was treated like a god in Greece. It's hard to describe the excitement of the newly crowned European champions, so just lean back and enjoy. After the miracle of 2004, a lot changed in Greek football. The national team was finally seen as something to care for. Everyone agreed that the national team should maintain a steady level, which they kinda succeeded in. Although they missed the 2006 World Cup, they have been consistently qualifying for international competitions ever since. Rehhagel quit after the 2010 World Cup and left behind a legacy to be proud of. But as Greece were solidifying their position in Europe after 2004, the next underdog was already right around the corner. I'm of course talking about Belgium. Although they were ranked number 60 in the world during the Greek triumph, they were on top of the world just a few years later. If you want to know how Belgium did it and still won nothing, watch the video on screen next.